Thank you, Zoe. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm Chris Donald. I'm area manager for NatureScot, formerly SNH, South Highland area. And I cover an area which includes the whole of Ross-shire, Inverness-shire, Badenoch and Strathspey, Loch Harbour, Skye. So quite a big chunk of Scotland for NatureScot's business. And I also, within that, I have oversight of NatureScot's work within there, covering half the deer management groups in the uplands of Scotland. So we have got a big interest in how we get land management and land managers collaborating together, as Willie said earlier, through our work with deer management groups and deer management plans over the past sort of, well, must be almost 10 years since the Deer Code came was published. I'm here in particular to just chat to you about the Cairngorms Connect partnership, which is in the heart of the Cairngorm National Park, and takes up quite a significant part of the national park, about a third of the national park. If you want more details about the project, please go to the website, which is cairngormsconnect.org.uk, which will give you a little bit more detail. But I'll briefly go through what the project's set up to do, and also just have a bit of a chat about partnerships and how we set up, and what I feel is important in trying to set up a partnership like this. So Cairngorms Connect, it's a partnership of land managers, and that's quite important to us because we have people in the room during our meetings who are actually making land management decisions. Our partners are Wildland Limited, Forestry and Land Scotland, RSPB, and ourselves, NatureScot. And we also have the support of the Cairngorm National Park Authority in our work, and we feature quite prominently within the National Park Authority's plans for their objectives for the whole national park. The land within the partnership covers 600 square kilometres of contiguous land, and it's highly designated as well. Other than being in a national park, it has quite a number of national nature reserves, special areas of conservation, SSSIs. In fact, virtually all the terrestrial designations that you can think of, other than biosphere, but we're in a national park, so I suppose that's sort of the regional level designations are covered there. We have shared objectives, vision, and all this is encapsulated in a memorandum of understanding. And this is really important in setting up a partnership. You've got to sort of set your parameters nice and early, and make sure that everything that you have in your memorandum of understanding or agreement is shared and agreed. And part of that is to get high level support within your each individual organisation that is signed up to your partnership, and that sort of secures not only the support of each organisation, but also the budgets within your organisation as well to contribute towards the partnership and how it works and operates. Our shared objectives are primarily about restoring habitats. We use the ecosystem approach as a framework for that, which is adaptive management. We've made sure that we have an appropriate scale, sort of quite big for a land management partnership. Everything is connected, and also people are at the heart of what we're trying to achieve here. The subtlety in saying that we're restoring habitats is the heart of what we're doing. We're in the Cairngorms. In our partnership area, we have over 5,000 species have been recorded there. And we felt quite early on, if we went down the sort of species route, we would get go down all sorts of different cul-de-sacs in terms of what our priorities are, because we have 5,000 species. We could have quite a number of conflicting partnerships, conflicting priorities. And also the issue is that species are very good. They get the you get you the profile. It's what the general public are interested in. But also, if you go down the species route, you can start gardening for individual species, and that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted ecological restoration, to, as much as we can, to sort of as close as we can to sort of climax vegetation, and also maximise the carbon storage potential of our area. Because we were very aware of the contribution we should be making to address climate change. We're also confident in the fact that even though we're not going down the species route, we won't lose any species. There will be winners and losers in terms of species and in terms of their distribution and also their population sizes, but the likelihood is that we're not going to lose species at all. It just might be that some species sort of respond better in more climax habitats. We're also about encouraging the enjoyment of nature, and people are a major part of our story. And we think that we have an area of land through our management which is going to become more and more attractive to people, and also local communities and also communities of interest. And also the sort of population of Scotland as a whole will see this as a demonstration area of what is possible, the art of the possible, and how we can realise potential for our land in terms of nature and also people's enjoyment of that nature. Working together brings all sorts of benefits. We can have bigger projects. We can benefit from the economies of scale and economies of efficiencies by sharing these projects and sharing the resources that we have. And also, unfortunately, size, for a lot of things, size is attractive to external stakeholders and, more importantly, to funders. Just by sort of, as Willie's shown, you put something in a visual, regional context, spatial context, and if you get your promotion right, you can attract quite a lot of interest from funders. And as we're moving into natural capital approaches, we're looking at trying to attract new finance, new money into Scotland and into land management and into nature of Scotland. I think it's going to be a more attractive proposal for large companies, for example, who want to invest into things like carbon and much more improved habitats. We use adaptive management disciplines. This means we've got to have very, very robust monitoring, and also ensure that because we're investing in monitoring, that we do use this to review and evaluate and re-evaluate what we're trying to achieve within the broad direction of travel we're going in. And of course, this all links in very, very nicely with things like ecosystem services and, as I said earlier, natural capital approaches, and allows us to be opportunistic in terms of what's coming over the horizon in terms of how we can influence what's happening within Scotland, and also trying to attract more funding. If you want more detail about what we're actually doing on the ground, go to the website. But in summary, we're concentrating on deer management, floodplain restoration, forest expansion, and also improving forest and woodland condition, peatland restoration, and research, monitoring, and surveillance are the sort of big ticket items that we're dealing with. In terms of partnerships, the sort of things I've learned from this, and I think the rest of our partners would agree with this, it's really important to have the shared objectives and vision, and have that articulated in a document. Ours is a memorandum of understanding. Buy-in at senior level is really important. We think it's really important that you create a safe space for having conversations. That safe space reinforces what we're wanting to achieve through openness and through constructive challenge between ourselves, and making sure that we are on the right track, and you know, we're not getting distracted by various things. We also think what's important is we're very lucky that we've got a big chunk of the Cairngorms, and I'm sure you all know how important the Cairngorms is in terms of nature and recreation and people. But equally important is you've got to have the right organisations and also the right people in the room who can work together. It's you know, it's quite a sort of heady mix really, but if you have conflict and clashes of personality, then it can make life very difficult, and also it's sort of your ideals of bringing together a partnership can erode pretty quickly. You have to be clear, remain clear about what the partnership doesn't do. You can put in your agreement or memorandum clearly what you are going to do, but you've got to be very clear about what you don't do and what you don't want to get involved with. For example, you know, our partnership is sort of a mix of private, public, and also charities. And we have different aspirations in terms of what we could get. There's different avenues we could get involved with. Willie mentioned rewilding earlier, and I understand Willie's caution about what rewilding means. We discussed this at length early in our partnership, and decided that we wanted to remain habitat focused and not go down investigating species reintroductions or translocations, certainly of mammals, and especially because that's what people think rewilding is about, and we didn't want to go down there. So what we have very clearly in our memorandum is to say that we're habitat focused, but we if any individual partner is interested in getting involved in species work in greater depth, they do that on their own in isolation, and they can work in that but also still be part of the partnership. And also what's useful in making sure you're clear about what you don't do is that you have to be reactive to either stakeholders or members of the public who then assume what you are. And I would say that we spend a reasonable amount of time early in our partnership explaining to people why we weren't badging ourselves as a rewilding project. The last thing I would say about this in terms of working in partnership is think carefully about what the ideal number of partners you want to be working with. We have lots of partnerships in Scotland to do with nature, and they've got quite a large membership of all stakeholders being part of these things, and they tend to be, ironically, species partnerships. We're very sort of keen, and now well, we're very aware at the beginning that you can have too many partners, and it makes meetings very cumbersome, and it also makes decision making on collaboration and working together very, very cumbersome and very complicated if you have too many people or too many partners involved. So that would be the last thing I would really say about what's best to bring a partnership together. If you're sitting there thinking about a partnership within the Wester Ross Biosphere, and I know that work has started, especially in the between land managers within Glen Torridon, and NatureScot are part of that with Benay National Nature Reserve. There are a lot of, it's a very rewarding bit of work. If you can get it off the ground and you can get the right people and the right space to work together, it's very rewarding. And once you've got the foundations in place, you can achieve things very, very quickly. That obviously in today's climate of people wanting to see whether these things work or not, and with various critics around about different approaches to land management, it's really important that we have more of these so that we can show and demonstrate the art of the possible through practical action. So thank you for letting me speak, and that's me finished now.